Lock and Load is a brand new card from Outlaws of Thunder Junction, and today we're playing it in a spicy high tide build featuring Borne Upon a Wind. Let's go check it out. I wasn't lying when I said that this is a spicy deck list, but before we get into that, let's talk about the signature card from this build, Lock and Load from Outlaws of Thunder Junction. So for 2 and a blue, you get a sorcery with plot 3 and a blue, which means that you pay its mana cost, and then you put it face up on the table. On a later turn, you can play this spell for free, draw a card, and then draw a card for each instant or sorcery spell you cast this turn. Okay, so it's like a draw spell with Storm. You know that I'm going to love that. So today I'm playing a build featuring Borne Upon a Wind, which means that we can play all of our spells as instants with Lock and Load because it's a sorcery in our Reset Turnabout High Tide list. I believe that Solidarity is the best fit for this style of card because you're not playing anything like Clod of Fairies or Candelabra of Taunos. You're only playing instants and sorceries in your deck, which means that it's a lot better. A fault of previous Solidarity lists is they run things like Opt or, other bad 1 mana blue instants. Here we get to play Ponder because we're playing Borne Upon a Wind, so we get to add some strength to our deck on top of this really insane card draw spell. In fact, it's so good I think that it's better than Meditate, and Meditate has been a core card of this deck for years. But in order to make room for Lock and Load, we actually cut the Cunning Wish package, which in my previous videos I wasn't in love with anyway. How we're going to win is by making a ton of blue mana and then casting Blue Sun Zenith targeting our opponent for lethal. We're going to make them draw their entire deck. You could run Brain Freeze, but if your opponent has any Eldrazi Titans like Emrakul the Aeon's Torn in their deck, you're in a bad spot. So instead we're going to play this Blue Sun Zenith, which also helps us combo, when we're in that early developmental stage of the game. So that is the concept behind this deck list. I am so excited to play Lock and Load today. Let me know what you think of it in the comment section down below. But for now, we're going to hop on into the first match. I'm ready to Lock and Load. I hope you are. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to leave a like, comment, and subscribe. You can also show your support by becoming a member of this channel. You get sweet perks such as badges, emotes, early access to videos, exclusive members-only content, and access to our members Discord section. As you increase the tiers, there are other rewards such as shop discounts, cyborg guides, and even free donation decks. Click the join button down below to find out more. We also have other ways you can support us, like theepicstorm.com/shop or submitting a donation deck via theepicstorm.com/donation decks. That's enough for now. Let's play some Magic. Welcome to round number 1 for the second time. So I just joined a league, and in it I plotted our brand new card Lock and Load. I then waited a full turn cycle and cast Borne Upon a Wind. I wasn't able to play Lock and Load. I've contacted a level 5 judge waiting on a ruling. I've submitted a Moto reimbursement request. I'm not sure if it's a bug that I can't play this card or if it's the actual ruling. I'm sure I'll leave a comment down below in this video on whether or not you can or should be able to play this off of Borne Upon a Wind if you use the plot. But for now, I'm going to just cast this spell without plotting it, which is unfortunate because plotting it does make it a little bit better. Alright, so we're facing someone playing Yorion Sky Nomad. They're on the Balance avatar, so they're likely on Death and Taxes. I feel like everyone that uses this Balance avatar just loves fair mono white decks, so that's what we're planning for here. We'll play Basic Island and pass the turn. Okay, so they grab a Shadowy Backstreet, so this is likely white-black Death and Taxes, and they reveal a Flicker Wisp. So my suspicion is confirmed. Just lay and go. So they're likely an Orcish Bowmasters deck, but one of the nice things about playing Solidarity is you don't have to care about Orcish Bowmasters. We'll play an island, pass the turn. You can win with the Orcish Bowmaster triggers on the stack. No Orcish Bowboys, okay. Karakas, and now they're fetching. Recruiter of the Guard, you've got it. They pick up a Stoneforge Mystic. Yeah, sure. No arguments from me. We find a Ponder. My plan was to meditate on their end step, but now I'm going to Ponder. We find High Tide and a Mission Briefing. I love this. I think I want Mission Briefing on the bottom. We'll play our Flooded Strand, pass the turn. Stoneforge Mystic resolves. And they pick up a Lion Sash. So that does mess up my Mission Briefing. But it looks like they're not going to use it. We'll play another Basic Island and pass. They activate the Stoneforge. Cauldron complete. Sure. They attack for 6, so I will fall to 13. On the end step, we'll fetch. I don't want the mission briefing. I think I just want to cast Ponder again. So we'll use the Mystic Sanctuary to put Ponder on top of our deck. Looking for a Borne Upon a Wind at the moment. So we'll play the Misty Rainforest, tap the Mystic Sanctuary, and play Ponder. I guess we'll keep this. We'll pass. Land number 5. Now they attack for 6. We're at 6 life. I think we should fetch. I don't want the mission briefing if they're going to hold open Lion Sash. So we'll grab another land. And we'll take a draw. Another Turnabout. Let's play Consider here. Another High Tide. I think that's a card I want. And now we'll go to Cleanup. And we could just discard this Force of Will. Sure, Lion Sash. They're going to exile a couple lands to make their equipment creature a little bit bigger. Alright, it's a 4/4. We will discard Force of Will. Thoughtseize. Alright, time to party. High Tide. High Tide resolves. We'll play another copy of High Tide. And now we'll make some mana, cast Turnabout targeting ourselves. We will select land and untap. And now I can play a Meditate. We found another High Tide plus reset. So we have tons of mana. The choke point now, I think, is going to be us finding a Borne Upon a Wind for this lock and load. We'll play another Meditate. And there's the Borne Upon a Wind. We're about to go nuts. Oh, I am so excited. All right, Borne Upon a Wind. Play Consider. We don't even want or need mission briefing. Another Turnabout. Let's Turnabout ourselves. Land. Untap. We'll Borne Upon a Wind again because it's going to draw an extra card with Lock and Load. We find another Reset. We'll Brainstorm. Put 2 lands on top. I'm going to hardcast Force of Will here. Mana is not a problem. Like, I don't need to counterspell that, but it helps because I'm able to increase my storm count. We'll play a Reset. Lock and Load! This should draw 15 cards. I'm sorry, 14 cards, because they played 1 Thoughtseize. Oh my. Oh my. 14 cards. I don't know if I'm allowed to play another one. It should draw the rest of my deck, I believe. You know, follow your dreams or something like that. We're going to lock and load again. Oh, I love this. We have 1 card left in our deck. This is sweet. This feels really powerful. High Tide. They have 61 cards, so we have to make 61 mana here. Is my last card another High Tide? It might be. So let's Consider. No, it was a Ponder. So we'll put the Ponder on top, we'll draw it. We have no deck. I could have swore I had 1 more High Tide. We're going to make a lot of mana here. We'll cast a Reset. We now have 58 mana. We'll Reset again. This feels disgusting. Like, you shouldn't be able to, with 2 cards, draw your entire deck like that. Reset. We'll make a bunch more mana. All right, we have 104 mana. This should be able to deck a Yorion Death and Taxes player. We will Blue Sun Zenith them. All right, Blue Sun Zenith for 81. 20 extra cards just for good measure. That is how we do. Love it. Okay, so we likely want Echoing Truth. And we probably want Dress Down. So our deck is really compact to the point where, like, if you bring in too much interaction, you're going to fizzle more often. In order to reduce fizzle rate, I think we should side out Ponder. It is a consistency card, but it's only good on the combo turn if you have Borne Upon a Wind. So I think we just have to accept that we need to take this card out because it could be a liability. And then maybe a couple copies of Consider. Let's try this. All right, we have Borne Upon a Wind plus triple Lock and Load. We do also have Brainstorm plus Fetch Land. I think we're going to lean on that in this game to get through fixing this hand. Island Pass, okay. Blue Sun Zenith, another card we don't really want right now. Prismatic Vista. We'll play Scalding Turn and pass. Turnabout was fine, but we need High Tide plus some more lands at the moment. They're holding their Vista open. I mean, I'm getting the impression that they have an Orcish Bowmasters, but let's see if they flinch first. They fetch. There's a basic swamp. Recruiter of the Guard. I'm going to respond with a Brainstorm here. But ultimately, I don't care about Recruiter of the Guard. That card's fine. We'll play Brainstorm. We did not hit a land. We'll put back double lock and... Actually, let's put back a Blue Sun Zenith. And now I'm going to consider in response. Still looking for that third land here. Force of Will, that can go to the graveyard. Another Dress Down, okay. They find a Gaddock Teague. I'm going to cycle a Borne Upon a Wind looking for a land. We did not find one. I will discard Lock and Load. Land number 4. It's also a Caracas, so it works very well with Gaddock Teague. And there it is. They attack for 1, we'll go to 17. They still have 4 cards in hand. Stoneforge Mystic. Okay. They find a Cauldra. Dress Down number 3. All I want is land number 3. We find it. Okay. And a High Tide. We'll put back the Echoing Truth and another Dress Down. Play the Polluted Delta. Pass the turn. I believe I'm supposed to Dress Down now. I could be wrong. I'm just planning on cycling a Dress Down this turn, and I think this is the time to do it. I'm not sure if it actually matters or not. I'm just unfamiliar with the layering. If I do it before or after the Germ token comes in. Reset was a huge draw here. Okay, it still has haste. Maybe I was supposed to do it after. The more you don't know. Alright, I go to 8 after taking 8 damage. The Dress Down's going to go away. And we redraw the Dress Down. Okay then. I have to pass the turn. Can we go off with 3 lands? That is the question here. High Tide. Okay, and now we will reset, floating 2 mana. Orcish Bowmasters. Sure. Reset. I mean, I could have flashed in Dress Down there. I'll play it now. I took an extra damage that I didn't need to take. We'll draw a card off the Dress Down. And now I'm allowed to play Turnabout. So let's... Borne Upon a Wind. Reset was a great draw. We'll reset. And we can Meditate, floating 1. Storm is now 7. Another High Tide. That's amazing here. And now we'll Turnabout. Target me. Land, untap. We'll Borne Upon a Wind again just to increase storm count. Mission Briefing. We'll keep both of these on top. And then we'll reset. Let's play Lock and Load. A lot of cards. This card is nuts. Holy moly. High Tide. 21 cards left. We'll reset again. Lock and Load. We have 7 cards left in our deck now. Play a Meditate. And they have 65 cards left in their deck. High Tide. We have 3 cards left. Did I reveal a Brainstorm in any of these? We did. So we'll play the Brainstorm. This brings me to 0 cards, and then I'm just going to put 2 lands back on top. So we know that the top 2 cards of our deck are useless. Oh, Mission Briefing. We can keep them both on top. There's no reason to deck ourselves. And then I will flash back a High Tide. Play the High Tide. 18 mana. Turnabout myself. Land, untap. Turnabout myself. Land, untap. We will play Reset. More mana. 62 mana. So it looks like we're out of untap effects, but I still have another couple Mission Briefings in my hand. So we'll play one of these. Once again, keeping both these cards on top. And then reset. Play the Reset. Mission Briefing again. We'll keep the lands on top. And our opponent concedes. Yes! Take that. Alright, I think Lock and Load might be real. I'm not just saying that. It looked amazing this match. Let's see how it looks in match number 2. Moxfield.com is the easiest way to build a Magic deck online. They support over 30 formats, including Legacy and many other Eternal formats. There are so many options to view decks the way that you want, from text view to individual cards, mana value, and even card price. There's also light mode and dark mode. My personal favorite feature is card tags. This way you can sort cards by function. Moxfield supports collection tracking, Scryfall search, decklist feedback, and so much more. Follow me on Moxfield.com so you can stay updated on all of my decks. All right, we're in match number 2. We're facing Spatula of the Ages, the Enchantress expert. And here I have a pretty interesting hand. We have 1 land, no High Tide. I think you're supposed to mulligan because the Blue Sun Zenith and second Borne Upon a Wind are not that great. This is not that bad. We'll keep this. I think you're supposed to put maybe the Meditate on the bottom. Cast Ponder. Shuffle those. We need lands. All right, let's see if we can draw some. Windswept Heath for a basic forest. Wild Growth. We find an island, we'll play it and pass. Our opponent plays a Ground Seal and Abundant Growth. So I don't know if our mission briefing targets a card in the graveyard. I don't know the Oracle text. If it does, Ground Seal ends up shutting off our mission briefings. Well, here's the mission briefing. It does not target, so we don't care. Well, Jig's up. Our opponent asked if we're on Solidarity, and I said with Ponder? Well, I'm about to reveal that I secretly am. And we do find a third land here. We'll play Misty Rainforest and pass the turn. They have 4 mana here, another Abundant Growth. Okay, and another copy of Abundant Growth. Wonder what's going on here. Paladin class. That makes all of my spells on their turn cost 1 more mana. That happens to be incredibly good versus what I'm doing. I think we were supposed to meditate in response. Paladin class seems unfair. We'll play Meditate. We did not hit a Force of Will or a Reset. They cycle a Cast Out, and then they level up the Paladin class. All right, our turn. We'll start off with Brainstorm. We finally find a Reset and a lot of lands. So I'm going to put a couple of these back. We'll play a Scalding Tarn. We will fetch. I'm just going to grab an island. I could have gotten the Mystic Sanctuary. I don't think I want it right now. And then we'll play Consider. We don't need another Borne Upon a Wind. Mission Briefing. Okay, I'm going to move to Cleanup, and then I think we want to try winning on the next turn. I'll discard a Borne Upon a Wind. Enchantress's Presence. You got it. 4 cards in their hand. Solitary Confinement. That is actually a hard lock versus me because my main deck doesn't have any answers to this. So we have to let this go. I can't respond here because the Paladin class makes all my spells cost 1 more. We'll play land and pass the turn. Solitary Confinement. We have to hope that they end up not being able to continue the chain. That is how we win this game. They discard a On Thin Ice. You don't draw cards for turn when you have Solitary Confinement in play. So our opponent has to live long enough and chain enough enchantment spells together in order to stay alive here. Another Enchantress's Presence. So this would be a card that could lock us out if it resolved. I'm going to fetch in response. We'll grab the island. We have 4 Force of Wills in our deck. I'll play a Mission Briefing. Actually, I don't think I could even possibly hit a Force of Will here. And we actually hit our last fetchable land, which is the Mystic Sanctuary. So I need to put both of these on top. And then I'll Brainstorm. Both those go back on top, and then we pass. I mean, our opponent might just have us locked out at this point of the game between the Paladin class and the Solitary Confinement. No more spells. We'll play our land. Pass the turn. Solitary Confinement. They discard a land. We need their last card in hand to not be an enchantment. It's a Cast Out, so we need them to not draw enchantments. That's how we win this. And their deck is full of them, so like 2 lands is what we need here. I believe that we've lost. Okay, we can pick it up. Okay, so our deck struggled a little bit in the early game, and we lost a pretty good matchup in game number 1. We'll bring in Echoing Truth. Probably shave a couple copies of Mission Briefing, and then like maybe a Consider. Let's try this. All right, I've heard back from the level 5 judge. It is accurate that you cannot plot Lock and Load and then play it off of Borne Upon a Wind as an instant. This seems like a reasonable hand to keep. Play Island, pass the turn. Forest into Wild Growth. We will play Consider. I think we want the land. Borne Upon a Wind is a good draw. They play a Surveil land, and they have 2 green mana available. Argothian Enchantress, that's fine. I'm not going to counterspell things that don't lose me the game here. We'll play a Brainstorm. Another Brainstorm, High Tide, and another land. Okay, I'm going to put 1 land on the bottom, Force of Will on top. I'm not going to shuffle. I'm just going to play our land and pass. Okay, they play a Sith's Harvest hand. So now they'll draw 2 cards off every enchantment. And another Ground Seal. Okay. We're going to not draw any cards here. I'm just going to draw the land that we know is on top. Play it and pass. Our opponent plays a Windswept Heath. They go to combat. We'll take 1. I go to 19. And I will brainstorm on their end step. We did not find any payoffs. I think I'm actually going to get rid of Force of Will. Because if they play anything dangerous, I'm just going to try to win from this point on. We'll grab a Mystic Sanctuary. Why did that not trigger? Oh, the Ground Seal. That's right. The one card in my deck that cares. We draw another Force of Will anyway. Play our land and pass. No play on the end step. So they had 7 cards in hand and passed last turn. Wild Growth, okay. Green Sun Zenith for 2. I'm probably going to respond here because I don't know what this is going to grab. High Tide. High Tide again. We will Borne Upon a Wind. Reset. So mana's not the choke point anymore. It's only action spells. We'll play Reset. Mission Briefing. Both of these need to go to the graveyard. We'll flash back a Brainstorm here. We're all in on this Brainstorm. Play the Brainstorm. Uh-oh. So now Meditate needs to look at 2 new cards and hit? Come on, give me a lock and load here. Pretty please. Meditate. It looks... I mean, I can cast Ponder. Storm is 10. Am I really supposed to shuffle this? Brainstorm only looks at 1 new card. I think I have to. We'll shuffle. No! Oh, I probably just lost. We will counter this with Force of Will. Devastating here. And I'm going to skip a turn due to the Meditate. All I needed to do was find a lock and load, and I think that game was over. This should be a really good matchup for us, but both games have sort of slipped through our fingers. They attack for 1. Another land. I think I have 1 fetchable left in my deck. They play another land, they'll attack for 1, we go to 15. They're just passing. Like, I don't know what they're up to here. It turns out we have no fetchables left. Okay. I guess I'll Brainstorm? I mean, it doesn't matter. I can just wait. There's no advantage to brainstorming in my main phase because I am not a deck that can... Actually, maybe I should because I don't have a Borne Upon a Wind. And I could hit the plot card. Okay, so they found a Destiny Spinner, so this could kill me fairly quickly. Another Destiny Spinner. They play Sarah's Sanctum. Choke. Choke is fine. Abundant Harvest. They're going to animate one of their lands into a creature. And now they're attacking for 9. I will go to 5. Okay, deck, we need something good here. Our opponent discards an Emrakul the Aeon's Torn, but we're actually not winning with Brain Freeze, so that doesn't matter all that much. Okay, so we are ready to try to win. They play the Paladin class. We're going to respond to this. High Tide. We'll play a Meditate. We find Borne Upon a Wind. That's good. We'll play another High Tide. And we'll Turnabout targeting me. Mindbreak Trap. I will Force of Will. Exiling Echoing Truth. Another Mindbreak Trap. So this is why they weren't doing anything. I have to cast Brainstorm and Pray. We did not hit, and I'm going to lose. Okay, Mindbreak Trap, too powerful. And yeah, we got the L here. So we are now 1-1 to Enchantress. Looking to make playing your favorite combo deck much easier? Look no further than the Epic Storm Mini Token Combo Pack, which is available at theepicstorm.com/shop for $14.99. This combo token pack comes with 84 double-sided tokens. That includes our classic Storm and mana tokens as well as fan favorites such as Goblins, Squirrels, and Slime Time Live. But that's not all. We've expanded this token pack to cover a variety of formats with new tokens. Stop on by theepicstorm.com/shop and make an easy decision to elevate your combo game. Let's bounce back from that. We're on the play for match number 3. Sure, this seems fine enough. Our opponent traditionally plays a lot of Grixis control, but the last time I faced them, they were on Doomsday. So not really sure what to expect here, but this hand seems fine enough to me. We're really looking for a High Tide and maybe another land. We'll play our basic island and pass. Polluted Delta, Underground Sea, and Ponder. They did not shuffle on the Ponder. I will play a Consider. Get rid of this Mission Briefing. We draw Blue Sun Zenith. Not a card I wanted here. Another Reset. If they are on Doomsday, I want to fetch to avoid getting stifled. I don't know if they're on the latest Wonder Pro build or not, but that version does have stifles in it. And they just passed. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but they did. This card's Lightning Bolt, so they are on Grixis control. We'll play Consider. Let the lock and load to the graveyard. Borne Upon a Wind. So we are definitely in a spot here where things are a little awkward. Badlands, okay. Still no land number 3. We are now 25% of the way through our deck. I guess I can just main phase this mission briefing, looking for a land. Those can both go directly to the graveyard. Pass the turn. End step, they flash in Orcish Bowmasters. They cast a Brainstorm. We'll take take 2 going down to 16. We find another Borne Upon a Wind. I'm going to attempt a cycle here for a land. They have another Orcish Bowmasters. We do find a land, but it's not really a land I want here. Okay, so things are not looking so great for the home team. We'll pass. Even if I find a High Tide, I'm not sure if this is going to be good enough to win. They attack for 6. We're at 7. Yikes. Narset, okay. Sure, you got it. Whatever. Okay, so tough for us. Like, Orcish Bowmasters doesn't really matter, but Narset's just lights out. Okay. So I think we probably need to bring in some counter magic. We're going to shave 2 copies of Mission Briefing. It can be a little bit clunky at times. And then I think you're supposed to take out Considers. Our deck just became... like, we're more likely to fizzle now, unfortunately. But we need all of this additional protection. Game number 2. We have the lands. I guess we'll keep, but this could be really bad for us. Land go. They play turn 1 Ponder. We find a Pact of Negation. We will fetch, grab a basic, and let's play Brainstorm. Okay. Probably put back at least 1 land here. And maybe the second Meditate. Basic Island. In our upkeep, we will fetch, grab another island, take a draw. High Tide was a good one. We'll pass. They cling to dust on Brainstorm. And now they're going to Brainstorm. Looted Delta. They're just passing. I think we're also good to just pass here. Flusterstorm. Okay. Looks like we're in a decent spot. They grab a Badlands. Orcish Bowmasters. That's fine. And now they're attacking for 2. I will go to 15. Ponder. I think I'm going to allow this to resolve. And they pass. Another Meditate. Okay. I mean, we're not really under any pressure to do anything quite yet, and I like our current setup. I will fall to 13 here. They still have 7 in hand. Another Flusterstorm. I will attempt a Brainstorm here. We did not hit a land. Oh my. We'll put 2 on top. And we'll go to cleanup. They pick up an Undercity Sewers. And now they're attacking for 5. I will go to 5 life. I don't want either of our top cards, so I'm going to fetch. And I think I'll just grab the basic island. Give me a land. Force of Will. Doesn't actually help me here. Okay, we just have to pass. They have plenty of mana. We'll try a High Tide. They Pyroblast, we will Pact of Negation. Spell Pierce. I will Flusterstorm. If they have 2 more pieces of interaction, I am dead. Looks like High Tide has resolved. I will attempt a reset. They hardcast Force of Will. I will Flusterstorm. And they did have another counterspell. So they got me here. Okay. Match 1 went really well. The next 2, not looking so great, but that's not a fault of this build. I think it's just a fault of playing Solidarity in the year 2024, but let's try to win the next 2 and finish with a positive record. If you're still watching, make sure to give this video a like, comment, and subscribe. While you're near the description, here's a reminder to use our affiliate links if you're going to make a purchase from Amazon, Card Hoarder, or TCG Player. Just above those affiliate links, you'll find our social channels. Make sure to join those to connect with us. Round number 4, we're on the draw this time, and I have a 1-lander but tons of cantrips. I'm going to try it out. Grief Exiling Cabal Therapy. Sure. They discard our Brainstorm. Then they play Verdant Catacombs into Bayou. And another Cabal Therapy. Now they're going to discard our Ponders, leaving us with a 4-card hand. They have 2 cards. We have 4 and we're on the draw. I mean, I don't know how I feel about this. I feel very far away from being able to win this game. Hitting land number 2 is good. Veteran Explorer. So they're going to give me some lands here. It's awfully kind of them. Nic Fit. The fans of Phil Gallagher have spoken. Yes, I want to get 2 basic islands out of my deck. Are you kidding me? I'm going to mission briefing in response, and then we can brainstorm. I'm going to get rid of the Consider. We'll keep Borne Upon a Wind. Target Brainstorm. And then we'll play the Brainstorm. Orcish Bowmasters, you've got it. We will put these 2 on top. Cabal Therapy now resolves. They have 1 card in hand. They name Reset, which is on top of my deck. We'll play the island, pass the turn. They attack for 5, so we're going to go to 11. We'll play our last basic island and pass the turn. They swing, we'll take 5 down to 6. I think I want to hold this Consider for lock and load. Alright, so it's now or never. We're going off without High Tide. This is pretty scary. I could go to 1, but then another Bowmasters kills me, and I don't want that. So we're going to start off with Consider here. Get rid of the Scalding Tarn. We draw another Reset. Let's play Borne Upon a Wind. Force of Will does not help me here. We'll play a Reset. Play another Reset. Who needs High Tide, am I right? Reset. Okay. Lock and load for 6. Okay, we found a High Tide. That's good. Look at all these Bowmaster triggers on the stack. I hope none of them resolve. We'll play High Tide. And now we need to brainstorm. Do you have another Bowmasters? What's going on here? Okay, so 2 lands will go on top. We'll High Tide again. So now all of our lands tap for 3. Turnabout ourselves. Land. Untap. And now Blue Sun Zenith, we have 26 mana. We need to leave enough mana here that I can play spells. So like maybe like 6 mana. This would be a Blue Sun Zenith for 17. If 17 cards doesn't win, I don't deserve to win this. Like you need to leave some wiggle room here to like untap your lands. All these Bowmaster triggers, it's so sad that they won't ever resolve. We'll play another High Tide. And I don't think I'm allowed to play Lock and Load at this point, because I think it would deck me. What's the storm count? It's tough to see with all these Bowmaster triggers in the way. 13? Oh, I could definitely play a Lock and Load. Let's do that. And all of a sudden we have 5 cards left in our library. We'll play another High Tide. 21 mana in our mana pool. We will Turnabout. Land and then untap. Might as well meditate and see what, some of our bottom cards are. Nothing good. We'll make some more mana. 39 mana in our mana pool. We'll mission briefing. Our last card is a Reset. We'll leave that on top. We will target another Reset in the graveyard. Play the Reset. We now have 60 mana in our mana pool, and we will Blue Sun Zenith our opponent. Alright, Blue Sun Zenith for 55. Sweet. Off to game number 2. I don't even think I'm supposed to sideboard. We'll just resubmit. Okay, game number 2. Our opponent's kept 7. I think I'm going to keep this. I don't know how to feel. Turn 1 Cabal Therapy resolves. They name High Tide, swing and a miss. I'm going to play Consider on my main phase here, and I'm choosing to not use the Misty Rainforest in case I draw a Brainstorm. We don't need Lock and Load, that can go to the graveyard. Borne Upon a Wind, a decent draw, so now we're looking for another land and a High Tide. Brainstorm might be able to fix our hand nicely. They just play land and pass the turn, maybe holding open an Orcish Bowmaster. Another Consider, we'll play our land, pass the turn. They play Windswept Heath, they fetch for a Dryad Arbor. Cabal Therapy resolves. They take my Force of Will, you got it. I'm going to allow them to Orcish Bowmasters me in response here. It's pretty obvious that's what their play is. Like, you could read that very easily, but I think me hitting my 3rd land is more important than saving a couple points of damage. And we do hit the 3rd land. Alright, we're in a High Tide waiting room now. Another land. We will pass. They attack for 3, I'll go to 15. They have 4 cards remaining. End step will fetch just so that way we don't draw another basic island. Another turnabout. So something I could do on their end step now is Blue Sun Zenith for 1 just to get a card in my hand that's relevant that isn't Blue Sun Zenith. They attack for 3, we'll go to 11. 4 green mana, what is this? Green Sun Zenith for like a Leovold? That's probably what this is. So I could Borne Upon a Wind, or I could Blue Sun Zenith into the Force of Will. Alright, so we'll Mystic Sanctuary. Puts Force of Will on top. So Force goes on top, and now we'll Blue Sun Zenith for 1, drawing the Force of Will. And then we need to counterspell the Green Sun Zenith, exiling a Turnabout. I am at 7. We draw another Force of Will. Okay. This attack will put me to 3 life. Eternal Witness is fine. Gets back Green Sun Zenith. Pretty please, High Tide? Alright, so this puts me to 2. We're going to attempt to win again without High Tide. Well, at least starting to win the game without High Tide. We'll start with Borne Upon a Wind. You want to start with Borne Upon a Wind in case you draw the High Tide here. We didn't, but it was an option. And now we'll play Reset. And we will Turnabout. Land, untap. And then I'm going to Meditate because it draws the same number of cards here as Lock and Load, and Lock and Load has greater potential moving forward. There we go. High Tide. High Tide resolves. We'll play Reset. Play Ponder. We'll keep all of these. Another Bowmaster trigger happens, but it will never resolve. Land, untap. And now we will Lock and Load. Storm is 9. Endurance. I don't care about that, sure. Lock and Load. We'll High Tide again. It just means that I'm allowed to draw more cards. Like, there's no downside to them endurancing me. We'll Meditate. Make some more mana. We'll play a Reset. Let's try another Lock and Load here. We have 38 cards currently in deck. Looks like we're allowed to Lock and Load again. We'll High Tide. There's 11 cards left in our deck now. High Tide, High Tide. Let's make some more mana, I suppose. 36 mana in our mana pool. We'll play a Reset. 64 mana in our mana pool now. Let's attempt to win. We will Blue Sun Zenith. 47 is the magic number here. I guess I should do 49 because then another endurance... Actually, it would be 50 because then another endurance doesn't matter. Blue Sun Zenith for 51. We got the win. We're now 2-2. I'd love to finish this with a positive record. Let's see if we can make that happen in the 5th and final match. With Card Hoarder, renting your favorite combo deck has never been easier. There isn't a more affordable solution for Magic Online. Want to play the deck in this video? Check out the pinned comment below to easily rent the deck from Card Hoarder. Did you know you can rent the Epic Storm from Card Hoarder for as little as 7 tickets a week? We've made it simple to do so by including a button to rent the entire deck at theepicstorm.com/decklist. Time for the final match. We're on the draw, and I'm going to keep. Not really sure what our opponent is playing, but we're going to just keep a reasonable hand and play Magic. Marsh Flats. They search out a basic Swamp, Dark Ritual. Gothy Voidwalker, okay. And passes the turn. We'll use Polluted Delta, we'll go search out a basic island, and we will Ponder. Don't want any of those. Shuffle. Another land, pass. Wasteland. What does that card do? They Dark Ritual. Hardcast Grief. They have 2 cards left. And 6 power in play. I'm under a lot of pressure here. They took our Meditate. Okay, so now they'll attack for 3. Another land will play Consider. Don't need Turnabout. There's a High Tide. They play an Underground Mortuary, so they will get to Surveil 1. Verdant Catacombs goes to the graveyard. Into Thoughtseize. This is a brutal start. They take my High Tide. I don't know if we're going to be able to recover from this. Mission Briefing is an actual blank when there's a Gothy Voidwalker. They attack for 6. I guess I'd have to brainstorm into perfects in order to win this game. They cycle a Troll of Khazad-dûm. Another Underground Mortuary. And then reanimate on the Troll. We'll grab a basic island. Mystic Sanctuary. So I guess I can tap their team with Turnabout. Trying to get one more turn. But once again, it's all about just drawing into a perfect brainstorm. Another grief. Ay, ay, ay. We'll grab an island. We will turn about them. They use Dauthi Voidwalker. We'll tap their creatures. And now they untap their creatures with Turnabout. Yeah, you got it. Okay, sweet play. Alright, so we lost game number 1. I don't think that we're supposed to sideboard. I'm just going to resubmit. I mean, they are these... Like, if we're not bringing Surgical here... Alright, we'll bring in Surgicals. Let's try that again. We're on the play. Great hand. Keep. Polluted Delta, pass the turn. Grief exiling Dauthi Voidwalker. I'm going to respond here and cast Brainstorm. Brainstorm on the stack. Double High Tide. We'll put both copies of High Tide on top. They discard Force of Will. And reanimate on the Grief. They take Meditate. Alright. Misty Rainforest, pass. They play a Wasteland, and now they can attack for 3. We'll fall to 16. Alright, I don't think we can afford to keep the other High Tide, so we're going to fetch. Play the Consider. Incoming Bowmasters, yep. Consider. Keep the land. We're now at 13. Looking for a reset. Another High Tide isn't the worst, but we still need a reset. Thoughtseize. Ugh. So the only way I win this is incredibly unlikely, but I'd have to go High Tide, Borne Upon a Wind, and hit Reset. So if they Thoughtseize me and discard the Unlock and Load, I don't know how we win, because they attack for 6. I'd have to draw exactly Lock and Load again, or Meditate. I think we're supposed to take our chance with getting lucky drawing exactly Reset. So we'll search out the basic island. High Tide. High Tide. We'll play Borne Upon a Wind. Come on, Reset. They have another Bowmasters. Sure. Like, I don't actually care about Orcish Bowmasters. Like, you win with that card on the stack. We've done it throughout the league. We draw another High Tide. So that is the end of our event. Unfortunate. Like, this league, or this match, Grief was the problem card. It was not Orcish Bowmasters, in my opinion. But, so we finished 2 and 3, not the world's most amazing record. What did I think of the deck list? Well, playing Solidarity in the modern era is a choice. It's a fun choice, but it's not as competitive as it once was. I do think that Lock and Load felt super powerful. Being able to play it alongside Borne Upon a Wind, there's definitely something here. Where I think that the deck needs help is that there's some consistency issues. Some games you don't find High Tide. Some games you don't find Borne Upon a Wind. So what I'm thinking is, moving forward, maybe you try 4 Impulse over Consider, and then maybe cut 1 Turnabout for another land, because we also struggled hitting land drops sometimes. So I'd probably go down to 2 Turnabouts, add a 17th land, try out some Impulse. And then the sideboard felt fine. I mean, if you have an idea for something better, feel free to put it in the comment section. But I think that there is something here. We just need to finesse it a little bit more. So thank you for watching. I really do appreciate it. I hope you have a terrific day. And as always, keep storming. If you enjoyed today's video, you might also like the Eternal Glory podcast featuring myself, Bryant Cook, alongside Bosch and Roll, Brian Cobal, Anthraven U, Phil Gallagher, as we discuss legacy concepts, theories, strategies, and so much more. We're available on all major podcast platforms, as well as YouTube. Also, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.